stand at home. What's good, Relocation Football League fans? Been a little minute, been a lot dropping. I don't have my stand for my phone to read you guys' comments right now. So, yeah. Gotta kind of look off to the side and everything. I'm probably gonna pull it up on OBS right now. I think it's gonna make my screen a little bit too small. Let me see if I can get that up though. There we go. Only thing now I gotta look kind of towards the way. But you guys already know what today is. You get a look at the official schedule of the RFL for season 9. Go ahead and let this music finish out, man. Let some more people roll in. Should be a good one. Not gonna dive into the details and everything, holding that about the uniforms, diving into that for another stream after they're all shown. That should be the last of the OG RFL theme song. What is good, Relocation Football League fans? It's your boy Smitty, as always here. Again, seems like I'm kind of veering off to the side here, but maybe I should just get rid of the chat on here because it just had me look all over the place. All right, so this is just going to be a stream showcasing you guys all the matchups. Now, the schedule isn't completely done in terms of when the games will be played, like what days they will be. That will be later on down the line, more so after the draft. I'll be working on that. But as of right now, first of all, before I keep going, I want to know if you guys can hear me, because last time I got on here, I was talking for a hot minute and nobody could hear anything I was saying. So can you guys hear your boy loud and clear for this stream? Let me know in the chat. What's going on, Michael King? We got Kayshawn Taylor in the building, the Bear in the building, CC in the building, Michael Blunt, what's going on? Austin in the building. Zion, what's good, y'all? Joseph Fontanez, we got Killian, Rico. Loud and clear. All right, cool. EJ Bailey, what's going on, boys? I don't know how I skipped over your name the first time. My bad, EJ. And we got R.O. Matthews as well. So, yeah, so I'm going to be going through the schedule. Again, the days in which the games will be played, like our premier, like primetime games, those are not official. Pretty much this reveal is just going to be showing you guys what every matchup will be week to week for season 9. I will not be, again, we've been dropping the new uniforms and everything for season 9, and it's been well received by the community. A lot of people saying, yo, these uniforms are fire, which we knew they would be, man. Can't wait for you guys to see those in action. The reason why I'm not jumping in to talk about the uniforms is because I'm saving that for another stream once all the uniforms have been revealed, just to give you guys more of an in-depth look at the home and away uniforms. We're saving the alternates for later, but we want you guys to be able to see what they look like kind of in action. So we'll go in practice mode and really show you guys the details and everything put on these uniforms, but saving that for later. Today I will be revealing the cities, the new cities coming to the RFL for season 9. Of course, everyone that's within the Discord, you guys been knew about what cities and stuff and places where these teams were relocating, so you guys just got that exclusive access for that. But the mass community does not know or did not know. One thing I could say is you guys saw the reveal of the Riverhawks today with their uniforms. They are now getting changed to the Hogs, and then I'm going to kind of go into depth about why certain teams went to certain cities to tie in with the history of the RFL. So we're going to go into that. Week 1 in the game, you're going to actually get a little bit of a look at the RFL mod, just the base of what it looks like, because this is what will be available to you guys when we do drop it. We're hoping we can have the mod completely done with everything we want in the game completely finished for you guys to be able to hop on before the season starts. Now, the season is right now kind of estimated to start sometime towards the end of January. And the reason why is because, you know, I'm still working on building these rookies within the file. We got to draft the rookies, put them on the teams. There's still some players from free agency and stuff that needs to be built. I'm hoping to get that done before the draft. And again, this is another message to my coaches. A lot of coaches been asking about the trade, about trading and stuff like that. Look, man, I wish I could open up trading and all that stuff right now, but if I can't get involved for these CPU teams, that's a high disadvantage for those teams. And not only that, I just don't have the time to even review your trades, even if you put it in. So you guys are going to be sitting there for a while, and I don't want that going on until I'm completely where I need to be and everything's done for the RFL. That's where we can worry about opening the trades back up. Yeah, it might be cutting it close right before the draft, but that's the best that I can do right now. I'm not going to put myself in that situation, opening up the trades and having all that going on, and dudes constantly hit me up trying to get something done when I know I don't have the time for that. So, coaches, if you're watching this or you watch this back later, do not ask about when trades will open. When I am able to do it, trust me, it will be open immediately. All right. So I'm going to put that out there to the coaches. So let's go ahead and dive. We got 45 people here live. If you haven't already, you already know what to do. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the Relocation Football League, man. This is only the tip of the iceberg of what's to come for the RFL. The rest of the uniforms about to be revealed, man. You guys still haven't even seen the fields yet. We're trying to work on the sidewalls too, all that stuff. Hopefully to have all that stuff done for you guys and be able to play the RFL mod with the actual rosters and all that, pretty much like the RFL having its own game, man. So shout out to the RFL community for you guys always showing the support you guys have been showing for the uniforms. I know I'm doing a lot of rapping, but I'm trying to make sure I get everything out the way first before I show you guys the cities and before we dive into the schedule, because that's pretty much what's going to come after this. And shout out to Sultan, Nishan, Richardson boys right there. 36 months of being a member of the RFL, man. Salute to you. Let's get hashtag Sultan in the chat. All right, so new cities. Let's go ahead and talk about and reveal those new cities that are coming to the RFL. And I will break down why certain teams moved where they did. And then we'll go ahead and dive into the schedule. And that'll pretty much be it for the podcast. It is probably going to run lengthy when we get to the schedule because we're going through the entire thing. Okay, so here we go. New cities coming to the RFL and where those teams are moving. So teams you used to remember: Portland Riverhogs. Those guys are now going to Cincinnati. The Salt Lake City Pioneers. Once again, we're doing it with all dual city teams except for London. Last time I messed up saying that we're going to keep the Monarchs in London. The Monarchs, as you could see, where are they at? They're at the bottom here. They're going to New England. So that's a different change. But yeah, Portland Riverhogs moving to Cincinnati, now becoming the Cincinnati Hogs. Salt Lake City Pioneers moving to Pittsburgh, becoming the Pittsburgh Pioneers. Columbus Aviators moving to St. Louis. That's a city that isn't new to the RFL. The Gunners used to rep that city when they first joined the RFL in season 2. But after that season, they went to Houston. And, of course, you see the Gunners are going to be moving as well, as they're under the next team that I'm about to call here, Brooklyn Barons. They're really not going anywhere. They're from Brooklyn, pretty much New York. Pretty much they're staying in Brooklyn. They're in New York, all right? So, really, they're not moving anywhere. Houston Gunners moving to Baltimore, as I talked about. And, again, some of these cities that they're moving to have ties into the history of the RFL, which I'll be explaining after I go through these teams. The Lumberjacks. They got St. Louis here. I think that was supposed to be pretty much Oklahoma City because they were the Lancers. So they're going from Oklahoma City to Louisville. So it'll be the Louisville Lumberjacks, which is fire, brand new franchise to the RFL. Then we have the London Monarchs, now known as the New England Monarchs. We have the Dublin Shamrocks moving to Boston, just fitting for that. And again, I'm diving into that. The Orlando Wizards, which used to be the San Antonio Marshals, now back to Marshals, but they're moving to a new city, and that's going to be the DC Marshals. The Austin Desperados moving to Dallas, so it'll be the Dallas Desperados. Chicago Tigers moving to Tampa Bay, so it'll become the Tampa Bay Tigers. And here's a big move here. The Toronto Thunderbirds moving to Atlanta, so it's the Atlanta Thunderbirds. San Diego Crusaders is moving back to their original spot because back when they first joined the RFL, they used to be part of Los Angeles. So they're going right back to Los Angeles as the Los Angeles Crusaders. And for the Condors, they're moving from Sacramento, still staying in Cali, but going to San Jose. So those are all the moves in terms of new city teams. Again, we wanted to do away with all dual city teams. So that's exactly what we did here. And now it's time to tie because a lot of these moves and where they went more so had to do, they weren't just moves we just made out the blue for most of them. Most of them were calculated because it had ties with the history as I talked about. If anybody knows about or has been around for the RFL, to know where the RFL really stemmed from. It stemmed from the OG game I used to play back in the day called Backbreaker. So that's where these teams in these city locations has ties. And so if you look back and if you remember any of those Backbreaker rosters or those teams back in the day that came with the game, you had the Cincinnati Hogs, which is now what we're calling the River Hogs. They are literally named after them, the Cincinnati Hogs. Pittsburgh Pioneers, which is what we have now, was in the Backbreaker game. Let's see what else was exactly in the Backbreaker game. Well, not exactly. Here's a same connection, but just different. So the Backbreaker used to have the Baltimore Cannons. We don't have the Cannons, we have the Gunners, so we moved them to Baltimore in respect, of course, paying homage to where the league really stemmed from. So Baltimore Gunners are pretty much the Baltimore Cannons coming back. The New England Monarchs, that doesn't really have a tie, but I just wanted to move them there because it just sounds, pretty good. So that's one of those moves you wanted to make, just because, Boston makes sense. I mean, Boston, Shamrocks, a lot of Irish stuff around there. DC Marshals used to be a team called the DC Lawmakers and the Backbreaker game. So that's the reason why they moved there. There used to be a team called the Dallas Spectres, which is why the Dallas Desperados is working. Now, Spectres, I still don't understand what that is, but the logo literally looked like a bandit, and that's what the Desperados are. So we had a bandit. That's a great tie, so we tied that back into history. Tampa Bay Tigers was literally the exact name of a team in Backbreaker as well, so that's the Tampa Bay Tigers. Atlanta Thunderbirds, which is very similar, ties back to the Atlanta Firebirds that used to be in the Backbreaker game. And then the rest pretty much got moved there off of places that make sense. Again, Brooklyn really didn't have to move anywhere. We just didn't want two Brooklyn teams. We already kept the Bulls there. So let's just change it from Brooklyn to New York here for the Barons. That's what we did in that scenario. St. Louis, it's a high aviation area. So we moved them there for the Aviators. Louisville Lumberjacks just sound hard. It was fire. So we decided to go with that. And plus it was a new city that Madden had added. New England was really, it just fit for me. I was just like, oh, let's just give New England a spot. Kind of has a bit of ties, I guess you could say, back to the Europe or something like that. That's kind of how I felt about it. That's why I moved them there. That was more so of just a move to make it make sense to me. Again, I already talked about the Shamrocks, why they're moving there. It makes sense for an Irish team to be going to Boston if they're staying within the states. Let's see what other teams pretty much went through all of that. Crusaders just going back to where they came from originally, and then San Jose. I was trying to find a city for the Condors that makes sense, but I mean, Condors, you really could just pick a city. They were already in Cali, so I just picked a city we haven't used before in San Jose. So that's where all these locations came from. They all had ties back to either the past or just made sense for the team. So those are the cities, and that's the reason why the division realignment is the way it is based off of where they move. So no more same city teams. So shout out to that, man. I'm glad we were able to do away with that. We've been dealing with that 8 years, in the RFL. A lot changes this upcoming season. As you know, cross-conference games, as we're about to get into the schedule, we don't have to worry about sitting a week or up to 5 weeks straight, as some guys have done before last year after the extension of a season that was in Madden. Because you don't have an RFL game, you had to sit out and get those auto wins. Auto wins are great, when you had them, but at the end of the day, I know guys want to have a consistent flow of games. They want to see what they're doing week after week after week, unless it's a bye week. So we don't have to deal with that stuff no more, man. Cross-conference gameplay is officially here, man. Cannot wait for these new matchups that have never happened before in the RFL. But those are the new cities that are coming to the RFL. I'll be posting that on social media as well. I have to get with Bees to try to change that St. Louis thing at the bottom there with the Lumberjacks. But other than that, graphic is good. And now, pretty much we're going to dive right into the schedule. Now, I'm going to pull up the schedule here for week one because we modified the preseason schedule because we didn't want to give away any cross-conference matchups in the preseason. But unfortunately, because you're in a certain week, whatever week you're in when you're trying to mod and edit the schedule, you cannot edit that schedule. It'll change in game, but it'll mess you up and you can't actually play the games. So currently in file, it's not showing what it will actually be, and we can't choose and change those. So it actually shows what we wanted it to be for week one, but that's not possible. So we reverted it back. So we're going to have some cross-conference matchups in week one of the preseason. And so I have the screenshots of what they originally were. So I'll show you guys that, and then I'll actually dive into the RFL mod to show you guys what the matchups will be from there on. So preseason starting out. Week one, you can see right here, the logos are in the game, guys. You can see bulls, armadillos, they're in the game. You're going to be able to see this when you get access to the mod. Shout out to Sultan for the $10 donation. He says, miners and steamers got a rich boy on each. Merry Christmas, RFL. Yeah, Merry Christmas to you guys, man. This is going to be, of course, a great treat to give to you guys, show you guys what's coming up for Season 9. Then you guys can enjoy all day tomorrow, of course. Be dropping another uniform, which will be the NRC, I believe, the West, if I'm not mistaken. The East will be dropping. So that'll have the Marshals in there. That'll have the Steamers, the Monarchs, and the Shamrocks. So look out for those uniforms. But here we go. This is the week one preseason matchup that's going to start us out when the RFL season starts. Never mind the dates and the times. Again, those aren't official. I haven't chose when those will happen, but you guys will at least know what all the matchups are. So within week one, Armadillos versus the Bulls. We got the Explorers versus the Condors. Lumberjacks versus the Pioneers. How fitting is that? Two brown teams going at it. They definitely got to upgrade, though, man. I know a lot of people love them Pioneers uniforms that just dropped today. The Marshals taking on the Gunners. Thunderbirds taking on the Celtic Tigers. Huskies taking on the Tigers. Steamers versus, this says Riverhawks. We did change it in the game back to the Hogs because we're getting rid of that River part to pay homage to our backbreaker team. And the Miners versus the Snowhawks. And before I move on, man, I just want to say is how great of a privilege is it for us now that we literally get to have a preseason. We haven't had a preseason in the RFL since season 6. We wanted to have one, but because we didn't have all the teams within one file, we couldn't do it, and they didn't have any cross-conference matchups like that. They only had like 1 or 2. And so all we had in between that time from season 6 were pretty much exhibition Hall of Fame type games. And so it got people hyped, but at the end of the day, it was just like, we wish every team could have a preseason. But now every team is going to have a preseason game. You're going to have 3 games to showcase what you could do out there for those who we know it's hard to get a starting role in the RFL. But this preseason gives guys a chance who can't touch the field an opportunity to show how good they can be if given an opportunity on the field. So that's a great thing about the preseason, and we love the fact that we have that back. Moving into the rest of the week one preseason, we have the Voyagers versus the Black Knights, the Sentinels versus the Barons, Bulldogs versus Diablos, Dreadnoughts versus Monarchs, Shamrocks versus Cougars, Bisons versus Crusaders, Aviators versus Desperados, and we have the Elks versus Dragons. We are reverting them back to the Red Dragons. At first, we were about to go with the Dragons, but we like the Red Dragons. They won 2 championships here in the RFL, so we're like, hey, man, keep with the Red Dragons. We're not going to cut their name short like we did the Hogs. So Red Dragons is going to be. And then the last game, well, that's pretty much it because it's already showing the Elks and the Dragons here, so there's no need for that. But yeah, that's the preseason week one matchup. So let's go ahead and get a look at what cross-conference matchups we're going to get. Of course, starters are only going to play 1 quarter. So the rest of the 3 quarters, we're getting a huge viewing, a long viewing of what the backups, the rookies, and all that's going to be capable of doing, which I think is going to be very exciting to open up the season because those guys, chances of them touching the field is going to be very slim once the season hits, bar injuries. If that does happen, which we are really putting an emphasis on this season. The RFL has dealt with injuries before, but we haven't put it on a realistic scale to where depth is as important as it should be in the game of football. You see it even right now in the NFL. So many guys just getting injured, and new guys get an opportunity to play. But this isn't something that's just happening this season. This has happened every year in the NFL. A little bit high up there, a lot more, with quarterbacks and stuff like that. But that's football, man. And that's what changes storylines and creates those big storylines and big moments in the game of football that gives other teams an opportunity to capitalize on their situation and just change the whole dynamic of the league. And it also can make it very difficult, of course, for even the teams that you think should be in there to just be a guarantee walk into the playoffs. Still can get there, but got to be able to take care of your team and try to avoid injuries as much as possible. So we want that to be a real thing this year. I really do. I know some coaches are going to be like, daggone, man, I'm losing just about everybody. But that's the game of football. Next man up. If it ruins your opportunity to get there, that's just the game. That's just the game. But we want that to be a factor. We want that to be again a storyline for new guys to walk in and probably make the most out of their situation, being able to play and just be like, wow, what about that run? And maybe if the guy hits free agency or something like that, or is on last year's contract, or a coach is in need of a player, they could be like, hey man, I might want to trade for that guy, because I remember when he got the opportunity to touch the field and he was balling. So it's things like that the RFL, we've had some moments like that, but realistically, we've never really had a lot of moments like that, and that's what really happens in the game of football. So injury is going to be something to really look out for this year in the RFL. And I think a lot of people who did not expect to play will be given opportunities and to see what they can do with it, man. That's going to be dope. But cross-conference games, let's see if we got anything here. We got, Lumberjacks and Pioneers. That's going to be the first cross-conference, one of the first, of course, cross-conference matchups we got there. Celtic Tigers and Thunderbirds, man. I remember way back in season 5 of the RFL, these are two best teams. Thought they were going to meet in the Relo Bowl. Neither one of them made it. They went to the playoffs, but unfortunately just could not get there. But they're seeing each other first week, first ever matchup between these guys. But again, it's just preseason, so it's not really like an official matchup. But that's an interesting matchup to watch right there. That should probably be in prime time, more than likely. Then we got the Huskies and the Tigers. So that's 3 cross-conference games right there. Steamers and Riverhogs. That's 4. Miners and Snowhawks. That's 5 cross-conference preseason games right there. Getting to the second half of the schedule. And, Sentinels Barons. That's 6. Bulldogs Diablos. That's 7. Monarchs Dreadnoughts. That's 8. Cougar Shamrocks. That's 9. Bisons Crusaders. That's 10. Preseason matchups. 11 with the Aviators and the Desperados, and then the Elks and the Dragons make 12 cross-conference preseason matchups, man. So that's going to be interesting to see that. Now, we didn't want to give away a lot of our matchups. I think it's kind of cool that we are going to have some cross-conference matchups, at least within the first week. But it's just like a little taste of what's to come in the regular season. At first, I just really wanted it to be where you don't see any cross-conference matchups at all during the preseason. Then, you really get that first matchup in the regular season. But since we couldn't do that based off that scheduling issue, this still is fine, because you're not really seeing the full teams really participate for that win with their starters. So good little taste before the season comes in, breaking into new uniforms. I think it's going to be pretty dope. But let's go ahead and move into now the actual schedule within the game, where I can showcase a little bit and, just the movement. This is let you guys know what's in the mod. I know you guys can tell there, but I can use my controller here. I actually got to click in the game. All right. So you guys can see this is week 1. And as I was talking about here, guys, let me see if I can move this a little bit more so I can see, kind of look like I'm looking straight. But as you guys can see here, this is the matchups I was trying to book for week 1 with no cross-conference play, which Pat, shout out to Pat. Let's get hashtag Pat in the chat. He designed the preseason schedule. Unfortunately, we couldn't, have this all stick as we wanted to for the first week. But let's get into preseason week number 2. So these are official. These are going to be all cross conference, no, same conference games from week 1 and week 2 of the preseason. So we get into week 2 here. Cougars versus Miners. Now these games are going to be of course, half and half starters and in the backups playing. So this is going to be pretty interesting to watch, what guys doing that first half. And of course, week 3 is going to be like a big week where guys are going to be playing majority with 3 quarters for the starters, and in the backups playing that last week. But the Cougars and Miners, we have there Thunderbirds and Gunners. That's going to be interesting right there. Celtic Tigers, Armadillos. We got the Lumberjacks and Condors. Now, we're still working on some things. As you can see, the original logos are still within the game. But we already showcased those logos. We are going to replace that with our own custom logos, as you see with every other team. The Bulldogs, Condors. We got the Condors here twice. So we're going to fix that. We got to figure out what's going on there. Yeah, I just noticed that. So we'll get back to this. The schedule was posted in the Discord. So if you're part of the Discord, you'll know what that matchup is. Let me see what it's supposed to be actually. Okay, week 2. Okay, this is supposed to be the Sentinels. So it's supposed to be Bulldogs and Sentinels here for week 2. So we just accidentally put booked the Condors twice, just to wear those guys out. The Voyagers taking on the Bulls. You got the Bisons and the Pioneers going on. And look at this, man. Tigers versus Explorers last year. The Tigers 2 back-to-back upset sweeps on the Explorers. I know the Explorers, even though it's a preseason, looking to get this one back. They're no longer in the same division. So that's probably going to be personal in the preseason, to be honest. Black Knights versus Huskies. We got the Barons and the Elks. Shamrocks, Crusaders. Monarchs, Snowhawks, Aviators, Dreadnoughts, Hogs, Red Dragons, Diablos, Marshals, and we spelled the Marshals correctly with just 1 L instead of 2. And then we have the Steamers and the Desperados. Now, it's a lot that, like I said, we're going to go through, and I don't have the exact days. As you can see here, Monday and Thursday and stuff like that. Those aren't the exact days in which these games will be getting streamed, but I will, let me click off so I can, but I will be showing you guys, will be trying to keep those matchups because the game at least does a good job of spreading out teams so that they could get some TV time, pretty much prime time here in the RFL. So I'm trying to stick true to at least what games they got at Thursday, Monday, Friday, or whatever, just so we could get different teams to be able to have an opportunity to be on called games, so I'm trying to stick with that blueprint. So if you see something on Thursday, it might stay there. You see something on Monday, it might stay there. But most likely, anything you see on Monday, Thursday, or anything other than Sunday on the game, on the schedule, most likely that's going to be a primetime game that's going to be scheduled, unless a team has a lot of them and we want to throw somebody else in the mix. But yeah, that's the week 2 preseason schedule as of right now. And again, we do have less primetime games that are coming up. So it's only going to be Thursday, Friday, since we're doing the college series and the RFL at the same time. Saturday is going to be for the college series, so there will not be no game there for the RFL. But Sunday is going to be jam-packed with RFL game day, where you're going to have all the premier games showing. And then I'm closing out with primetime on that day. So that's 3 primetime games with commentary, and then 4 on Monday to close out the week. So we're only going to have 4 primetime games with commentary moving forward. So that's one less of what we used to have, but it's going to be a ton of action. So we want to make sure that we're giving teams some opportunities early on. And then of course, I think it was week 12 in which I'm going to be able to flex some games. So when week 12 hits, actually week 13, then that's when we're going to be flexing some games. And if it's crap games going on, we're going to be like, hey, team ain't been performing too well. We'd rather see the teams that really got something going on, implications to make the playoffs or whatever whatever have you. So we're going to be doing that. But yeah, that's week 2 of the preseason, and then we get the final week of the preseason. So almost a full game here for the starters, right? but not exactly, since they'll be playing those 3 quarters. Pioneers, Armadillos, they're in a week 3 matchup. We got the Diablos versus the Steamers, Snowhawks versus the Barons, Condors versus the Explorers, Cougars versus the Red Dragons, Elks versus the Lumberjacks, Bulls versus Huskies, Thunderbirds and Shamrocks, Hogs and Bisons, Voyagers and Celtic Tigers, Aviators and Sentinels, Crusaders and Monarchs, Marshals and Tigers, Gunners and Desperados, Black Knights and Dreadnoughts, and then we have Miners and Bulldogs. So these are the last preseason matchups that we got, man, for the season coming in. So 3 weeks of some fire games to get you hyped for the season. Again, I'm not trying to spend too much time on each week, but just trying to go through each game so that way guys can just easily rewind, go back and see what the matchups are, and use this video as, you know, a schedule template of when, you know, the games will be. Of course, week 4, there's going to be nothing there, but I plan on just skipping that week entirely. We'll handle the duties that needs to be handled in game for that, but then after we do that, I think we're just going to hop right into week 1 after the week preseason week 3 is over. So there won't be an actual week space there. Again, that could possibly change depending on what else we need done at that time. I doubt we're going to need anything done at that time, so most likely it's just going to continue on into the week. So that is the preseason, guys. Now it's time to get into what you guys really have been waiting for, and that is the actual regular season matchups. Preseason schedule was already posted out there to the RFL community within the Discord who had early access to this. So, I mean, they've been known these matchups for anyone just now finding out. Hope you guys are excited for what's to come for the preseason. Hopefully some players that you have been a fan of, or some players that you know that don't get any playing time, gets the opportunity to shine during the preseason. But now we head into week 1 of the regular season of the RFL. So what's going to kick us off for season 9? Week 1 begins. We've got the Gunners and the Aviators taking on each other. Then we have the Diablos versus Thunderbirds. Week 1 fire matchup right there. Off rip. They're in the same division now. Armadillos versus Cougars. Got the Pioneers versus the Hogs. That's the same division matchup as well. We've got the Dreadnoughts versus the Voyagers. A lot of same division matchups here. This one, look at this. Now it's really personal. You get to see him in the preseason, and you're going to see him first week of the regular season to get your get back. So the Explorers really, with the home field advantage, going to be looking to try to really get even with the Tigers this season after what the Tigers were able to do to them last year's, man. So that's a great matchup for week 1. We got the Sentinels versus the Desperados. We got the Elks versus the Huskies. Look at this matchup, man. We got some bangers for week 1. Snowhawks versus Steamers. Lumberjacks versus Barons. Red Dragons and Miners going at it against each other. These guys, division rivals. Celtic Tigers versus Bisons. Shamrocks versus Bulls. Crusaders versus Condors, which you know is some heat. This is the only division in the RFL after the realignment that has stayed intact. So it's the longest lasting rivalry going on in the league. Then we have the Monarchs versus the Marshals, and the Black Knights versus Bulldogs, which another great matchup storyline and rivalry-wise in the RFL, because this is the Battle of London rivalry that has always been going on. So that title will stick since they are both still in London, which is a good thing. I did decide to keep both of those teams in that area. So, man, these are some fire week 1 matchups, man. Some fire week 1 matchups. So the Relo Bowl champs and the Black Knights, they're already on the money. So most likely the Battle of London is going to be a primetime game that's getting called. So shout out to Amari. I already see he's hyped in the chat. Get ready, Black Knights. And then we got the Gunners and the Aviators as a matchup that is highlighted as a primetime game. Again, what will happen is, of course, there's other games. The rest of these are Sunday, so when it comes to this is now when it becomes my choice of, okay, they chose 2 games that should get prime time because they're going to spread it out, and I'm going to be able to choose the rest. So I got 2 more choices to choose from for week 1, to call those games. This Diablos Thunderbirds game is looking definitely fire. Shoot, the Tigers Explorers game, fire. We got some options here, man. Snowhawks and Steamers. That's 3 big ones. I think that's about guaranteed. I don't see any other matchups. Crusaders and Condors is fire, but I just don't feel like their matchup still lives up to the magnitude of the Snowhawk Steamers, Tigers Explorers, and the Diablos and Thunderbirds. So of those 3, 2 of those more than likely will be more than likely will be the ones chosen for prime time. We'll see how that goes. Again, no decision is made yet, just showing you guys the schedule. So that's week 1. Let's get into week 2 of the RFL. Explorers versus Shamrocks as a prime time a whole game right there. We got the Lumberjacks versus the Thunderbirds. We got the Red Dragons versus the Black Knights. Cougars and Pioneers. Condors and Gunners. Voyagers and Armadillos. Aviators, Dreadnoughts. Bison's Tigers. Barons Tigers. There's OG rivalry right there. Bison's Sentinels. Marshall's Snowhawks. Elks Crusaders. Bulldogs Monarchs. Steamers Miners. Celtic Tigers Bulls. Desperados Diablos, and Hogs Huskies. Let me go back to week 1 though, because I completely skipped the fact of, what about our cross-conference matchups? So what will be our official cross-conference matchups in the RFL? This is NRC. Oh, here we go. Yeah, NRC versus ARC. This is the first cross-conference matchup. Gunners and the Aviators. That's same. Sentinels Desperados. That's a preseason matchup and for week 1 matchup again. Elks and Huskies. So that's 3. Shamrocks Bulls. That's 4. Yeah, so 4 cross-conference games in week 1 that we're going to have. So those are the first time ever matchups for cross-conference play. So that's going to be very interesting. But back to week 1. Let's see how many cross-conference matchups we got here. So for week 1, same. Look like we don't have many cross-conference matchups here in week 2. There goes 1. Bulldogs and Monarchs. That's 1. Steamers and Miners. That's 2. So 2 cross-conference games in week 2. And that will be the Steamers and Miners, as I mentioned earlier, and the Bulldogs and Monarchs. So that's going to be pretty interesting. But went through that for week 2. You guys can, again, go back and check those out after this stream. Week 3, Marshalls versus Elks. Voyagers versus Cougars. Sentinels versus Hogs. Thunderbirds versus Gunners, always a great matchup. Desperados versus Lumberjacks. Armadillos versus Dreadnoughts. Celtic Tigers hosting the Miners. Explorers hosting the Bison. There's a cross-conference matchup. Bulldogs versus Bulls. Sentinels versus Black Knights, cross-conference matchup there. Condors and Diablos. Snowhawks Monarchs. We got the Aviators and Barons. That's another cross-conference matchup. Red Dragons Huskies. That's fire. Tigers and Shamrocks. And then the Crusaders Pioneers with another cross-conference matchup. So those are your week 3 games right there. And again, just going to roll through these just to go down to each one so you can check it. And then I'm going to go to each individual team. Since I've already calling out the games, I'm going to pretty much go through there and probably get my own little estimates as to like how great of a season I think they might have. Probably interact with you guys in the chat. So yeah, let's get to week 4. Got the Gunners and the Lumberjacks here, week 4. So it looks like the Gunners are getting a lot of prime time here. So most likely that'll be a team getting subbed out because although the Gunners historically has been a good team, we're going to have to probably sub them out. They're getting a lot of playing prime time matchups, reserve matchups where we can, give somebody else that opportunity. But the Lumberjacks and Gunners right there, Thunderbirds and Dreadnoughts. We got the Celtic Tigers and Black Knights, Explorers versus Diablos, Miners, Barons, Cougars, Hogs, Huskies, Armadillos, Crusaders, Voyagers, Tigers, Desperados, Steamers versus Shamrocks, Pioneers, Sentinels, Red Dragons, Bisons, Bulls, Monarchs, Snowhawks, Elks, and we got the Aviators versus Bulldogs and Condors versus Marshals. That's the week 4 matchups. We got 18 weeks to go through. So again, it's gonna keep rolling on here. You guys can go back, and we'll dive more into this afterwards. Week 5, Barons taking on the Steamers. Got the Dreadnoughts, Black Knights, Armadillos, Thunderbirds, Sentinels versus Voyagers. That's good. 2 own teams right there. Coach Tor versus Coach Baker. We got the Diablos taking on the Gunners. Marshals versus Celtic Tigers. Desperados versus Bulls. Cougars and Huskies. That's a great rivalry. We already know that's established. They're still in the same division and still repping the ARC North. Pioneers versus Snowhawks. Shamrocks, Crusaders. Bulldogs, Miners. Aviators, Explorers. Look at this. Battle for who should have stayed in Columbus. But although, of course, the Explorers were way more established than what the Aviators were, so they had to kick rocks out of Columbus. But that's going to be interesting. Technically, same city teams going at it if they were, if the Aviators stayed. Monarchs taking on the Elks, and then the Lumberjacks taking on the Red Dragons. All right, week 6. Miners, Aviators, Cougars versus Sentinels, Steamers and Thunderbirds. Great matchup right there. Rematch of the NRC Conference Championship game. This rivalry is still going to be alive. The Explorers versus the Barons. Condors versus Pioneers. Elks and the Hogs. Desperados, Armadillos, Voyagers, Dreadnoughts. Diablos versus Celtic Tigers. Gunners versus Tigers. It's going to be interesting. Started off the season with the Tigers, having the season they had, upsetting the Gunners. So here's a chance for the Gunners to get their vengeance. It almost seemed like the Tigers just got everybody mad, and now everybody's looking for their vengeance against them. But we'll have to see if the Tigers can prove to be legit again. They've definitely improved a lot. Just from last season, and I think they're going to be an even tougher team this year coming up as well. We got the Red Dragons and the Bulls, Shamrocks, Bulldogs, Snowhawks, Crusaders, rivalry, Marshals, Black Knights, and the Monarchs, Bisons. That's week 6. All right, week 7. Let me know, guys, if it's too much chatting for me saying each matchup. Let me know, and I could just go through these, just going down, and then maybe we could talk. Like I could just say what I think is the best matchup each week. I think that's the best way to kind of go about it. It's going to seem like I'm talking probably a little too much, just going through what you guys can already see. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I'll go ahead and scroll down here. Oh, there's the city there. Yeah, it is. And we got the Gunners, Cougars. Look at that. And these guys aren't. Oh yeah, I think they are in the same division now, aren't they? Yeah, they're still in the same division. So that's still going on. Okay, Spawners. All right. So what would I say is the best matchup to look out for week 7? That's always a great game right there. What can I put ahead of that? Probably. These are pretty good, solid games, pretty much spread out. Probably would say the Snowhawks and the Condors. That's going to be a fire one. Thunderbirds and Tigers guys saying Thunderbirds Tigers my fave, to be honest. But if I'm being honest, man, the Tigers, this is one team that this team has never really looked good against, even with it being a rivalry, to be honest. So, yeah, hopefully they can probably be more comp, but Thunderbirds defense, Tigers have not been able to handle them well in that department, and usually, Thunderbirds win that matchup handedly. But they do have the home field advantage here, so we'll see if they can make a statement. On into week 8, let's check out these matchups. Let's see which ones stick out. Got some good matchups here. Not one really popping out for like game of the week exactly for me, like right now. Of course, we won't know until the season happens and then we see how good teams are doing. This a good one, Red Dragons and Gunners. That should be pretty good. Cougars and if the Cougars play up to their potential, unlike like last year, to the team that we know that they could be, and against a very powerful Snowhawks team, this probably might end up definitely being game of the week. So Cougars and Snowhawks, that's a game to look out for in week 8. Yeah, let's do a little quick up down. Yeah, I'd say that's a big one to look out for week 8, man. Now let's get into week 9. Going down. Woo! Not in the same division anymore, but they cannot escape each other. The biggest rivalry in the RFL, unfortunately, has to come to an end since the Explorers are now out of the division. I think they're still part of the NRC North, but it's the Thunderbirds that are now moving down to the south with the Tigers, who've moved to Tampa Bay. But they still are going to meet in the regular season, guys. Like the biggest rivalry still, I would say, in the RFL is going to continue for at least one game here in the regular season. And, as great as teams, both of these teams are, I could even see them meeting again in the playoffs and playing twice anyway without even being in the same division. So this, hands down, biggest game of the week. Probably going to substitute that for sure to be on a Monday game to close out the week, since it's the only time they get to play each other. Let's see what else we got going on. Some good matchups here. But yeah, the Explorers and Thunderbirds take the cake. I'm gonna scroll down and up again just so guys can again replay this, catch the schedule. Anybody ask for what the schedule is, you guys be able to see at least the matchups through this live stream. And then, of course, the days will be announced later on. All right, we now in the week 10, double digits in the weeks. Let's see what matchups we got here. Okay. Now that's fire. Thunderbirds and Snowhawks are always a great game. That's a big one. Yeah, I think that's another. It's crazy you keep saying the same teams, but you just know that when teams are that good and they get to actually meet each other, that it should definitely be like the top game within the week for the season. So Thunderbirds again facing up against a good team. I like the matchups. We're gonna get into those individual matchups of the season, right? Just so we can see like how tough people's schedules are and stuff like that. So I'm gonna just scroll up real quick on these matchups, and then we'll get into week 11, and then we'll dive into the individual schedules. Even though you're seeing what the matchups are, it's just seeing how tough this team specific schedule is. And just so we don't have to actually go through every team, I'm gonna leave it up to you guys to decide whose schedule should we look at and what predictions we've got for that team. But we're here now into week 11. Now the Pioneers and Cougars in the same division, so it's their second game that they'll be facing up against each other. Huskies and Hogs be a good one. Red Dragon Celtic Tigers, always a good game. Battle of London again, week 11. And Crusaders got some good matchups right here. Explorers and Miners. How about that, man? Miner boys taking up Daryl Johnson and them guys. This should be a great matchup. Yeah, we got some good games for week 11 here. I guess that's what I'll do. Instead of picking out game of the week, just good matchups to call out. Let's get to week 12. Okay, we got Jacks. This is always a great game. This rivalry still intact. Celtic Tigers and Bulldogs. You already know they're not leaving. Big time matchup right here. Always a great game. Hogs and Miners. Know they had a little bit of smack talk when Q was coaching the team. Now he's with the Sentinels as a head coach. Here's Red Dragons, usually pretty good right there. And here goes that rivalry, still staying intact. Barons and Explorers. Should be a good one. Now let's get into week 13. Okay. Gunners, another game looking to get their lick back. Gunners trying to flip things from last season. So they got a couple of get back games this upcoming season, man. Now this is a big one. Reload Bowl rematch. Bulldogs versus Thunderbirds. Week 13. Definitely gotta be game of the week right here. Reload Bowl didn't go the Thunderbirds' way, losing 25-10. And now here's an opportunity. But they gotta do it in London. It's gonna be tough against the Bulldogs, man. That's definitely gotta be game of the week. That's a good matchup right there. Snowhawks, Huskies. Celtic Tigers, Steamers. How about that? Justin Jones taking on his team he used to own and coach for. Wow, how about that? Jones Sr. versus Jones Jr. Pretty much. Miners Armadillos looking to get back at Chumlee some more, stomp them down. Hogs, Crusaders. Okay. Those are the matchups there. Getting to week 14. Bulls, Huskies. Great rivalry matchup. Bulls have moved out of the ARC North, but they're still meeting with an ARC North opponent that has built a rivalry. Tigers, Thunderbirds right there. Dreadnoughts, Hawks. That Crusaders Cougars game is gonna be pretty dope. How about this? Reload Bowl 5 rematch, man. Second time ever these teams are gonna face off against each other. And it's Davis there taking on the Explorers. It's gonna be fire. There's a chance to get their get back, so Red Dragons got the one. There's Black Knights. And then Miners and Bisons. Always a good matchup right there. Shamrocks and Monarchs. Lumberjacks and Marshalls. New teams facing off. Should be interesting. Week 15, we almost getting there, boys. The regular season schedule reveal. Again, I didn't want to just keep saying every matchup all the way down to week 18. So I think this is the best way to go about it. You guys, again, can relook at these. Diablos, Thunderbirds facing off against each other 14 weeks later after opening up the season against each other. This is, I think, is going to be a big time rivalry in the RFL. And another history moment here about this is it was the Diablos that beat the Thunderbirds in their first ever playoff elimination. The Thunderbirds and the Diablos met each other back in season 2 of the RFL playoffs when we first expanded the NRC, and that was, of course, LC3's rookie year. And the Diablos went on in the Reload Bowl, ultimately falling short to the Red Dragons 20-13. But old rivalry, I guess you could say, kind of restored here, and LC3 is still a part of it. No Chumlee on that roster though, as he was a rookie too. But yeah, let's see what else we got. Miners and Gunners should be good, man. Huskies Voyagers is dope. Here goes that rivalry. Bulldog Celtic Tigers. What a matchup that was last year too, man. Those guys battling for that number 1 seed. Bulldogs just getting the best of them. Then I think they played 3 times, man. 3 times, and Bulldogs able to get those last 2 and win the Relo Bowl. So big season for Reed and the guys. Steamers Crusaders be a great game. Cougars and Dreadnoughts. No, there's gonna be a lot of trash talk amongst the community members. CP and those guys and Perk, CC, y'all boys gonna be talking crazy week 15. I know that. Aviators and Bulls, great rivalry matchup. Not in the same division anymore, but we're seeing really good matchups. Like rivalries that were already established before, all in one file, is still around, still going down. So it's gonna be a lot of hype this season. A lot of great matchups, man. There's Huskies, Warriors, and Thunderbirds. That's gonna be a good one. Never faced off against each other before. Spurs Gunners. That's fire. Steamers Bulldogs. This is a matchup that some were thinking we were going to get in the Relo Bowl. So that's going to be a fire matchup week 16, man. Sentinels. Dreadnoughts. Tigers. Going to be some trash talk here too, I know, amongst community members. Boy Blunt and Cash, not a trash talker, but you know, he's going to be at the game and stuff. But I know for a fact CC and Perk's going to be in there talking crazy when we get in the VC with Blunt, man. My bad for that sound there. Snow Barons. Celtic Tigers should be a good one. Dragons Aviators again. Yeah. And second to last week here, week 17. This is a new rivalry too. This is the same rivalry, new division changes, but Monarchs and Gunners seeing each other, gonna be fire. Thunderbirds and Barons not in the same division, but they're gonna see their scheduling is actually fire, man. Like what I did was, you know, I just said, you know, whatever the game came up with as we were modding this, I said let's just stick with that schedule since we got the teams where they need to be. So this is pretty much whatever team they replace NFL wise. It's the exact schedule of who they face in the NFL, like in real life this year, but just with the teams they replace RFL wise. So it at least spread out the division game matchup game, something that Madden was not doing too good of a job of, you know, throughout the years. Red Dragons and Voyagers, fire. You know, Diablos, Dreadnoughts, this would be a good one. Let's get these Marshals. Celtic Tigers and Cougars. How about this? This is a great rivalry. There's so many great matchups this season, man. Didn't even have to make the schedule. It's just naturally made. Thought it was great. Number Jackson Explorers right there. And then we get into the final week of the regular season, guys, and then we'll just dive into the teams that, you know, we want to kind of get in their specific schedule for, and try to, I guess, guesstimate what we think their record's going to be. Just do little things like who we think's probably going to be the worst team. Gunners and I forgot Explorers and Gunners are in the same division now, so that's going to be a fire rivalry that's just getting built up even more. Black Knights, Celtic Tigers, you know, that's fire. Versus Desperados, that's a new rivalry. Dreadnoughts and Sentinels. Crazy trash talk on that game's going to be. Red Dragons and Miners. Cougars, Huskies. Wow, last week of the season, these are some great matchups, man. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of this is division matchups to close out the season for like big time moment, probably a final push of the season. Like the Monarchs and Steamers. I know that's fire. Aviators, Bisons. Yeah, this last week, Condors and Snowhawks. You already know I'd get down with these two when it gets to this late in the season. So the matchups are fire, bro. Not even gonna lie, y'all. Like season 9's schedule is looking crazy. Of course, we're not gonna know who's in the conference and all that, who's going to the playoffs. But let's go ahead and get a look at team individual schedules, man. All right. So what's a team we want to dive into? Like, know we went through all the games of what it's going to be this season. Again, you can go ahead and hit the pause button, replay, just to look at those, from week to week. But what's the first team y'all want to get a look at and try to estimate what their record is going to be and if they probably make the playoffs? I'll do up to do 5 teams. Do 5 teams. If we get through that pretty fast, then we'll go ahead and probably do some more. Let's see some guys talk about some Sentinels, Cougars, Steamers, whichever 5 teams come out first, that's the one. So we got Sentinels, Cougars, Steamers, Marshals. I need one more team. Bulldogs. But it's got to be by a different person. So Tyler already said that. Shamrocks says Jay Hayden. All right, so that's what we'll do. Sentinels, Cougars, Steamers, Marshals, Shamrocks. All right, cool. Now, again, if we roll through those, we could keep going. I'm probably going to forget the order anyway, but let's go ahead and first get a look at those Sentinels. Look how tough the schedule is. All right, week 1 going up against the Desperados, man. All right, so any team that's not owned, of course, is going to be ran by me. I do have assistant GMs in place for some teams, so some guys could be running schemes, coordinating for some of these CPU teams. But Desperado's not one of those teams I have anybody appointed at, so that's a straight up CPU team. They will not have a custom book. It will be pretty much what the game has that fits the team. And Tor was one of the first and only people at the time when we had custom playbooks to use that, and made it all the way to the Reload Bowl. Last time that the Sentinels were able to be, that dominant. So, hey, thing is though, he's hired an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and a head coach. So he's hands off completely when it comes to that. So he's going to put all his trust into the new guys. So it's going to be interesting to see, how that all pans out, which I love that, because that's the future that I see within this league. Like really seeing guys creating playbooks for offense, defense. Owners get to, chill, sit back, see like, okay, if this head coach sucks, let's fire him, get him out of here or something. And we'll get to really see who knows what they're doing, who knows what they're talking about, and can put the best product out there for their team. But starting off against the Desperados, man, the Sentinels have been kind of stacking up. They made a big trade, acquired Damani Manuel that really answered some questions at the running back position. Although they did have the running back position filled in pretty nicely with Jay Morris last year. He is still going to be a part of the team. We already know the Desperados got a beast of a running back, one of the best running back, if not the best running back in the RFL to date, with Tavion Hall. But really, that's all they got, right? That's their biggest weapon. Their defense surprisingly played better than what you expect when you look at them on paper. But me personally, I got the Sentinels winning week 1, so let's start out 1-0. Okay, then they got the home field advantage against the Bisons. Okay, so let's get a look at this. Bisons up and coming team, looking good. But again, the Sentinels. And this is me just I'm hoping that the coordinators and everything know what they're doing to get the most out of this team, right? Because we don't know, but we will see when it comes to the season, when it does come here. Now, Bisons is a team that will have an assistant GM and Mac. Let's see hashtag Mac in the chat. He's very prideful about the Bisons, man. His player got drafted there. I'm giving an opportunity to be assistant GM there. He's going to be helping with in-game duties and stuff like that. And again, he might get an opportunity if interested in doing some coordinator work, trying to learn, and try some things out. Of course, not trying to have a team not be too successful. So, once somebody tries it out and it's just not working, probably just going to put them back on that base book. But, looking at this, I'm going to say, what you guys think? This is tough. Who you guys think wins this week 2 matchup between the Sentinels and the Bisons? it's hard. Sentinels got the home field advantage. Uh, New coordinators and stuff. Bisons. I'm seeing guys saying OKC. Yeah, I'll be real. I'm probably going to take the Sentinels. Probably going to take the Sentinels in this one, guys. Got the home field advantage. Um, I do think they had a slightly better talent, and if they click, I could see the Sentinels getting that. So let's start them out 2-0. Okay, the Hogs now. Hogs pretty good defensively, really good defensively. Sentinels going to be on the road. They got a quarterback that can kind of handle. I think that's going to be doing pretty good against the Hogs defense with DWJ. Their defense is kind of is okay for Sentinels, but it's not. They're still missing some pieces. So we'll see what they do at the draft and what they can build on. The Hogs offensively, man, the quarterback play is really in question. Although he had a pretty okay year last year, there was a lot of moments where he wasn't really balling. And so I'm actually going to give the Sentinels a 3-0 start. To be honest, I'll give them a 3-0 start. Let's start with that. So a lot of faith in you guys over there, man. I'm thinking you guys can do it. The Pioneers are going to play next. Sucks to say it, but Pioneers, I'm going to give this one to the Sentinels. Got the home field advantage and stuff. The Pioneers are definitely improving, getting better and better. And it could beat the Sentinels, to be honest, but I'm just going with the Sentinels. So let's say 4-0. And this is where I'm going to give the Sentinels their first L. And I think Baker's going to bake something up, man. Got the home field advantage. The defense is crazy. Glenn Hayes still spinning the rock. And with custom playbooks, I know he's not too much into that, but I know he's going to give his team, that's great talent. He's going to make sure they're in the best position to put the best product out on the field and give the Sentinels a hard time. So I think this is where the Sentinels take their first L in Week 5. Then against the Cougars, it's where I think they take their second, man. The Cougars is crazy to even think that this team has the third overall pick. But it was just things just weren't clicking last year. I don't see that happening for 2 years, man, back to back. Cougars have great talent. Defense needs some improvements, but it's definitely not bad. And those pieces can be added and worked on throughout the draft. Some prospects. So I'm gonna say the Cougars. So let's start the Sentinels out 4-2 before they head into their bye week. Then they play the Thunderbirds, man. My goodness. You did win last, Armstrong, but I think the Cougars are gonna look a lot different next year. This year. Might as well say next year because 2024 ain't here yet. The Thunderbirds, I had to get that to the T-Birds, man. This is a Relo Bowl 3 rematch. How about that? Relo Bowl 3 rematch. This matchup's only happened once in history, and the Thunderbirds got one up. I think they're gonna be 2 up after this, man. Tough team. So I say 4-3. 4-3 at this point. The Sentinels play the Huskies. Gonna suck, but I think 4-4. I think they go 4-4. Huskies got the home field advantage. It's a team that's stacked. We of course got to see where Calvin Poole is with his development at this point, but he's already looking good. He's already an 81 overall quarterback coming into this season, and that's to start at Week 1. That's to start at preseason Week 1. So where he will be at by this point, I think would be probably good enough. The team around him, even if he's still at about the same level, I think is going to be able to really rally around him enough for to get the win. So I'm saying 4-4 right now for the Sentinels. Then they play the Tigers. And y'all not going to like me after I say this one. I'm actually going to get this matchup to the Tigers, bro. The Tigers, I think, is going to be, again, a lot better than what most people think. So I'm actually, I know this is crazy. This is like, okay, start out 4-0, then they lose 5 straight games. That would be crazy. But I think the Tigers win, man. Like, that's just me being, what I mean? This is my opinion. It's just my guesses. So I think the Tigers win. there, and they end up going 4-5. Then they play the Dreadnoughts, right? Should be a good matchup. But I am going to give this one to the Sentinels. Um, it's mainly because of the quarterback play. Both teams' defenses are a little bit in question, right? But I feel like the Dreadnoughts are more in a rebuild moment than the Sentinels are when it comes to that department, and even a little bit even on offense. And still waiting for Owen Jack, although he played good last year, just waiting for him to come into his own now. By week 11, he could be a beast by then. Who knows? But I think this is where you got to get an edge to the Sentinels, even with them being on the road. So I'll say 5-5 at this point for the Sentinels. Diablos versus Sentinels. Man, I think this is where they get back under 500, man. Diablos is going to be a fire team, in my opinion, next year. Yeah. I mean, they were fire last year. I think the Diablos get the win. Say 5-6 at that point. Oh, yeah, Voyagers and Sentinels are now division rivals. I forgot about that. So the second matchup, do I think they split? No. It's going to suck. I think that the Voyagers get the sweep, man. So I'm going to say 5-7. 5-7 right now for the Sentinels. I know Torres eat this up with the laughing. But just me giving my honest opinion, man. So I'm gonna say 5-7 for the Sentinels. My early take again. Then they play the Celtic Tigers, who historically they are terrible against. So I'm gonna say 5-8, and they gotta play them on the road. So 5-8 for the Sentinels, man. I hate to do this to them, but 5-8 for Sentinels. Nothing really too much to say here. Just Celtic Tigers and them seem to be a kryptonite. So 5-8. Then they play the Armadillos. I'm not gonna disrespect you like this, man. Dillos can be a solid team when they want to be, but I don't see the Sentinels, especially with home field advantage, losing this. So let's give you a 6-8 tour. 6-8 right now. Prediction for the Sentinels. Then they play the Condors, which I think will be rocking at this stage in the season, man. So I'm gonna say 6-9. You know what? No, I'm gonna say 7. I'm gonna say 7-8. The reason why I'm gonna say this is because I don't know if it'll be this matchup or one of those ones I gave you a loss for earlier. But I feel like you're gonna be able to wow and upset one of those teams in that matchup. So I'm gonna say 7-8. So now we get to the last two teams, and we're in a Steelers moment right here now to see, are you gonna have a winning season again or a losing one? So 7-8 right now. And you play the Armadillos again. 8-8. 8-8. 8-8. Then we get here. Dreadnoughts. End of the season. Versus the Sentinels. Man, that's tough. Can the Sentinels sweep the Dreadnoughts for the winning season if it played out the way I just said? What do you guys think in the chat? Do you guys think that the Sentinels can sweep the Dreadnoughts and get it done last game of the season if they were 8-8? Or do you think they are going to split? Kennard says easy 14-3 record. Hey man, a lot. It sounds good. Sounds good. Bishop says since getting the sweep. Of course, Nick, the coordinator, is going to say he's getting that. SEC game could be crazy trash. Sentinels got it. Yeah. All right, with the home field advantage too, with a lot on the line, I'm going to give it to the Sentinels. I say Sentinels get the sweep, and I predict the Sentinels to go 9-7. That's one team, y'all. So that's why I said I'm probably going to do 5 at max and then just end it. So what was the next team that was called after the Sentinels? I believe it was the Cougars, right? Or was it, let me scroll up. What's going on, Bees? It was the Cougars. Let's get a look at those Cougars, man. Here we go. Cougars. Looking for a redemption season. Just did not have a good season at all. missed the playoffs after a long streak since season 4, and there's a chance for them to get back into that conversation. You know, the roster's talented. But what can they do this year against the Armadillos? Going to start them out 1-0 right there. Not really too much to be said there. Just a more talented team. Then they play the Pioneers, who is now a division rival. I'm gonna try to move through faster on these. I think I can do that. So I'll say 2-0 for the Cougars. And the Cougars play the Voyagers here, man. Home field advantage. Talent. Man, this is hard. This is gonna be a really good game. Man. I give the matchup though. I just have a feeling like the Voyagers are going to be tough, really tough as usual this year. So let's give that matchup. Are they division rivals? I think they are. So are they going to play again? No, they aren't. So this is a one time. I think let's just give it to the Voyagers. I got a feeling. Let's give it to the Voyagers. So 2-1 Cougars. Then the Hogs. I think they go 3-1 right there. And they play the Huskies. I feel like they're going to split. So let's say 3-1. Let's automatically make that 4-2. Then they play the Sentinels. Already gave my take there. So 5-2. Gunners. I think they beat them. So 6-2. Snowhawks. I think 6-3. I'm gonna give that to the Snowhawks. Condors. 7-3. I think they could beat them. Hogs, they get to play twice. I think they sweep them. 8-3. 9-3 against the Pioneers. I think they sweep them. 10-3. I think they beat the Bisons. 11-3. I think they beat the Crusaders. It's gonna be pretty tough. 12-3. 13-3. This is where I'm gonna say 13-4. 13-4. Yeah, that's already 17 games. So 13-4 prediction for the Cougars based off of what I'm seeing here. Realistically, they probably drop 1 or 2 more games based off of some of these matchups. So I'll say from 13-4 to 11 and would that be 11-6? 11-6 to 13-4, my range for the Cougars, I think. So next team to kind of get into, we have, okay, Steamers schedule predictions. Let's see what the Steamers got going on, man. Hot team last year. These names are out of order, so you really gotta move around. Off rip, starting off with some heat though against the Snowhawks. I'm gonna take the Steamers, so 1-0. Steamers versus Miners. I'll take 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, 5-1, 6-1, 7-1. Tough, but 8-1. 9-1. Hey, sweet. 10-1. 11. Let's say 11-2 because I think they, for some reason, it's always a good game against the Monarchs. I think they split this year. So let's say 11-2. Against the Celtic Tigers, man, I think the Steamers beat them, to be honest. So 12-2. 13-2. 13-3. I think they lose to the Bulldogs. 14-3. And then that Monarch split. So 14-3 is my best record prediction for the Steamers. 14-3. Again, I kind of give like a 2-game stretch. So 14-3 to 12-5. It's my range. So 12-5 to 14-3 for my range for the Steamers on how their schedule will go. Let's scroll back up. Marshals. Get a look at the Marshals. All right. So Marshals against the Monarchs. I'll actually give that to the Marshals, man. I'm gonna just give it to the Monarchs. There you go. So 1-0. Then you go 1-1 against the Snowhawks. Let's go 2-1 Elks. Woo. Are they division again? No, they aren't. One-time matchup. Ooh, that's gonna be tough. I'm gonna say 2-2. I feel like Condor's gonna get one on somebody. 2-3, 3-3, 3-4, 3-5. Feel like they can get this. So 4-5. They gave them the win last time. I think they lose though. I think they split. 4-6, 4-7. Same. 7. 4-8. 5-8. 6-8. 7-8. 8-8. 9-8. So I think second half of the season, these guys are gonna come back with a vengeance. So 9-8, they're gonna end up having a winning season, was gonna be rough. I think in the first half. So 9-8, I think they're going to nice streak based off of these game matchups. And let's check out the fact that we can have like actual records too, man. I'm already hyped for the season, man. Just to see the realism and the real stats that we're gonna have. Did I pass the schedule? And the last team was the Shamrocks. All right, let's check and see what the Shamrocks. Rashad said, Explorers. Let's check out the Shamrocks. I passed them. Might have. All right, Shamrocks. See how tough it's. Oh man, they starting out with some heat. Against the Bulls. I'm honestly gonna take the Bulls. So 0-1. Explorers, no chance in my opinion. 0-2. Against the Tigers. 0-3. 0-4. There's a chance to win here. I think they can get it. So I'm gonna just say 1-4 for the sake of this. So 1-4, 1-5, 1-6, 1-7. That schedule's tough. I'm gonna say 2-8 because I think they split. 2-9, 3-9, 4-9. I talked about the split. 4-10, 4-11, 4-12, and I think it's 4-13. So daggone Shamrocks. I think y'all get 4 wins this year. I think y'all gonna go 4-13, man. It's a tough schedule for the Shammies for real. Some winnable games, but yeah. 4-7. I said 4-7. 4-13, bro. That's pretty bad. This could be the worst team. So I've hit all 5 teams. What team do you think is going to be the worst team, guys? What team in the RFL do you think, based off how they played or what you know about the team, is going to be the worst team? Then we'll check out their schedule just to see how tough it is for them to actually probably put together a good season. Yeah, Shamrocks do need all the luck. Desperados. Yeah, there's a chance Desperados might be trash too. Their division's tough. All right, here we go. Taking on the Sentinels, which I gave the Sentinels that win. So that's 0-1. This is always a great game. But Diablo, I think, going to be on another level this year compared to them. So 0-2. Let's give them the win here. So 1-2. Tough matchup. But 1-3. 1-4. 1-5. 1-6. 1-7. Let's say 1-8. 1-9. 1-10. 1-11. 1-12. Sheesh. 1-13. Yeah, this might be the one. I say give them one though. 2-13. I think they do split with the Tigers. Say 3-13 in some way. 3-14. So yeah, I think, and that's me being generous, give them an extra win or two, because I don't think they'll be that trash, but there's definitely a possibility. So for real, they could be 1-16 up to 3-14. He said no hesitation. Yeah, but I honestly, just looking at these matchups, I don't even got an assistant GM on this team. So if that NFL playbook, that base Madden playbook ain't hitting, man, it's really gonna be curtains for the Desperados. So Desperados might be the worst team next year. I'm not going to cap. That's looking pretty bad. Let's see another team that's usually bad. Let's look at the Pioneers, man. I'm gonna be real. I feel like they could beat the Hogs week 1. That might be the upset. Let's just give them the week 1 victory against the Hogs, then getting smacked against the Pioneers. So 1-1. Let's say 1-2, 1-3, 1-4. 1-5. Could get that. We gotta look at the Elks too, because they're kind of questionable. 2-5. This is always a good matchup because you consider them the worst of the worst going up against each other. That should be a really good game, to be honest. I'm gonna give it to the Nears though. So 3-5. I feel like the Dillos would win that. 3-6, 3-7, 3-8. Could win that, but you're gonna win one of these. So let's just 3-8. Let's say 4-8. 4-9. 4-10. 4-11. 4-12. And I think they split with them. So say 4-13. We're gonna have some trash teams, man. We're really gonna have some trash teams this year. That's actually cool. I see a team going winless? I don't see that. But Desperados could though, which is crazy thinking about it, just looking at their schedule. We don't have too many like really bottom trash teams. Like we got teams that's not gonna have good records, but would you consider the team actually trash? Nah, not really. Desperados are probably the closest thing to that. And it's really because they got one good base player. They are very youthful though. They're in that development mode. Like the guys who are to come in the future right now, or just developing right now for the Desperados, are really really good pieces. So honestly, the Desperados might actually get harder. I think will get harder to beat as the season goes on, because a lot of these guys are well under 25 and are decent high 70s to touching 80 overall players. So the Desperados could even shock you like they have in the past. Let's look at the Black Knights, man. I think that's an L. So 0-1, 0-2, 0-3, 0-4. Could win that. But I'm gonna say, can I say 0-5 to that? Because of the streak, I think 0-5, 0-6, tag on, 0-7, 0-8. I think they're gonna win one along the road. Could be the Pioneers or someone earlier. So let's just say 1-8 at this point. 1-9, 1-10. Let's say they could 2-10. 2-11, 2-12, 2-13, 2-14, 2-15. Yo, Black Knights. I know last year was fire, man, but I think this is when they come back down to earth, man. They got so much to build on. They got some good pieces, but yeah, it's either going to be in my opinion, it's going to be the Black Knights or the or the Desperados is going to be bottom of the league, man. The crazy thing is, although I give them that record, I do think they're going to be competitive against teams this year, but they're just not going to win. So, Black Knights, Desperados, definitely looking like the worst. Is there any other team I can look at in that category? Oh yeah, let's look at the Elks. I think the Huskies beat them. So 0-1, 0-2, 0-3, 0-4, 0-5. Feel like they can win that. I'm saying they won one in a long row. So let's say 1-5, 1-6, 1-7, 2-6. I know I chose the Pioneers last time. Nah, 1-7. I think the Pioneers can beat them. 1-8, 1-9. I feel like they'll split with that. So let's just say 2-9, 3-9. And that's with 3-10, 3-11, 3-12, 3-13, 3-14. That's actually pretty decent amount of teams that might be getting stumped on this year. I'm not going to cap. Yeah. I think that's the rest of the teams that I think are not going to fare too well. That historically just aren't too good in the RFL. Let me check the chat out a little bit. Not the Rattles. Yeah, man. Some teams going to be looking good getting stumped on, man. That's all I can say. Do the Black Knights have a coach? No, they have an assistant GM there that I have there that was a former coach of the Black Knights. So he might be putting together schemes and stuff like that, coordinating for the team. Yeah, he's not approved to be an owner of the team or anything yet. Pretty much developing him, getting him right. Trying to see, where that goes. So he is, Black Knights could be better with him or not. Who knows? It's hard to read some of these comments because I got my setup, man. It's chopping off afterwards, so I got to look all over the place. So I was really hoping. Yeah, so that's just some looks at the schedules, guys. It's almost pulling up on 2 hours, so we kind of got through a lot pretty good. He said, "Can you still apply to be a coach?" Yes, you can. I guess we could talk about stuff like that right now. So if you're looking to apply to be a coach, just to reiterate on this stuff, there's two ways. You can either be approached by a owner. If you are not approached by an owner for a position, if you did put in an application to be a coach or a coordinator and I approved you after an interview, then you can reach out to those owners who don't have those positions filled yet to see if they'll accept you to be their coordinator or head coach and stuff like that. If you do not get anything from that based off your activity or a bit of your history within the league, I could give you an assistant GM position. But again, you need a PC, man. If you're going to apply for these positions, you need a PC. I'm saying that now because you won't be able to do your job without being able to actually play the mod. And this is another big this some more big news for my community, for my coaches. I mean, um, I've been running gameplay modding tests, and I'm gonna be real. At first, I was just like, man, let me not pull out the mods because I want to make sure that coaches can be able to practice on their consoles and stuff like that. But to be real, man, most of every coach, if not all of them, have PCs anyway. So you guys should be able to practice with this mod. And I was literally about to put out a message earlier today with that mod so that you guys can load up y'all's PCs, or whoever's on your staff with PCs can load up the mod and start practicing right now. So I'm actually going to put that message in the coaching server, so you guys can be able to get the ball rolling on that. And it's the Sabo mod. Shout out to Sabo. I know, I've been trying to, put some of the RFL stuff within the Matt and mod community, just so guys are aware and stuff like that. But the new Sabo mod, the CPU versus CPU thing he dropped, I tested the one earlier before, and the gameplay was looking pretty good. It was up and down at times, but I'm gonna be real. After testing this mod here, the realism of it is crazy, man. Like, I think that with as big as a season as this is going to be in the RFL, why not have it have the best possible gameplay it could have? And I think that's the way to go, man. And I know a lot of our viewership comes from, or at least our most viewed videos usually comes from slider videos and things like that. But to be honest, it's been hard sometimes even keeping up making videos and having time to do that. But I think this season gonna be big enough for that doesn't even matter. Just be like, hey man, download the Sabo mod. You got a PC, and make these tweaks, because I did make some changes to the sliders with the Sabo mod, which I think made it even more better. So I will have sliders that come with the Sabo mod. I did have a trajectory mod I was working on my own. I talked about that last time. But to be honest, I was seeing I've done a crap ton of testing. Just believe me on that. Like, definitely over 100 games easy. But to be honest, nah, I don't think that I'm gonna go through with that trajectory mod as I wanted to initially. But bro, the testing that I've been seeing with the modded gameplay, it just looks too good. I'm trying to tweak it, and I've been testing a lot more games. I want to test a lot more, and I'm going to test a lot more games with this new CPU versus CPU Sabo mod that he put out. I tested 2 games when he dropped it, and those 2 games was like fire, perfect. I'm talking about, you saw everything. Realistic quarterback percentages, realistic movement in the pocket from the quarterbacks not being held back from scrambling outside the pocket, even if they're not scramblers. So, like, how you're just moving slower just because you're behind the line of scrimmage as a quarterback. He got rid of that. So now guys are literally like, if you got a guy who can escape the pocket, he's out of there. But it's not OP to the point where he's just running every time. He actually has it where these quarterbacks are sitting in the pocket trying to find a read first. And if they absolutely have to bail, then they'll bail. And because of that, also, it's helping them decide to throw the ball away a lot more than they would in the base game, because they could get outside the pocket a little bit. And then when they realize they can't keep going, and that angle from the defensive end, whoever that's on them, and he can't get it by, they're throwing that ball away. So, like, that's real. The ball carrier vision by the players is crazy real. The punt returns and stuff is real. The height of the punts, like, it's so much stuff going in here. It's crazy. They've unlocked a lot more animations, so you're going to see different types of catches, different types of jukes, different types of movement, different types of everything you wouldn't see in the base game that's just not open because of certain aspects of the game. Because I have worked a little bit with some gameplay testing, there's definitely ways to open up a lot more animation space off of certain things you tweak. And the trajectory mod was kind of what I was trying to do with that mod I was working on. And it did open up a lot more different catching animations, but he also expanded it to where quarterbacks have a variety of ranges in which they can throw the ball, as well as I was expanding on with the trajectory mod. And so you're seeing different types of inaccuracies, different types of passes that makes receivers make certain types of plays on the ball, different catch animations because of that. Different ways the ball is being played by the defensive back because of that. I've turned down interceptions even regardless to minimize that even some more. And I've seen some games where, realistic amount of interceptions, then you can still have that outlier game and realistic game that happens from time to time where a guy is just playing trash. He throws 3, 4 interceptions. Last year was definitely OP with interceptions, and there was really nothing you could do with the sliders to fix that. So I don't want that to be an issue this year. I think that just really harmed a lot of quarterbacks that were way more talented than what they were because it forced them to make a lot of terrible reads, and it was too easy to throw a pick. And although the interceptions weren't like high in the season crazy, there was some guys who threw a high amount of interceptions. Most interceptions was coming within one singular game where they played bad. It was like if they threw an interception, they threw a lot of them in that one game. I even think back to LC3 in the regular season. That guy literally threw 12 interceptions through the entire year, right? Through the regular season. 6 of those came in one game. And of course in the Reload Bowl he threw 7. Now we know the Bulldogs defense is crazy, but 7 interceptions is ridiculous. We've seen multiple 5 interception games, 6 interception games. That was just crazy. But there's nothing we could do about it then because, that's you got to go with the flow of the Madden, and that's what I usually tell my coaches and guys like that. Don't get too tied up in it. I mean, it sucks. It sucks to throw that many interceptions in the game. Sometimes it can be very unrealistic. I gotta say, you can get frustrated. But if that's the way the Madden is rolling, then that's what you got to deal with because everyone has to deal with it, right? So it sucked that we had to deal with a high interception year. We've had some prior Maddens like that. But this year, you can really adjust that thing, man, especially with that mod and the realism of it. So I really think that we're going to go with that mod, that Sabo CPU versus CPU mod gameplay. He's really done a great job with that, man. I'm loving what I'm seeing. And I think that's just going to take this gameplay this season to the top next level, man, for real. So that's the way I'm looking at it. So many great things coming from it. I guess right now, really, I'll just open it up to you guys for like open questions or anything you guys want to like kind of discuss. If you guys want to look at a schedule or something like that, we could do that. I'll stay in here for 18 more minutes for the 2-hour mark. Since it is 9:12 right now, my time, and we started at 7:30. So, any questions from the community, feel free to ask. Merry Christmas to you all as well, as that's coming up soon. Uniforms dropping tomorrow. That's still going to be on the roll. So, Christmas present to the community. Top 100 has been releasing, man. I was planning on adding it into this stream, but then I was just like, the schedule is probably going to take a minute. So, yeah. We'll probably leave that for another day, probably when we get to 50 or something. Or just the next stream when that's over. So how you doing? I'm doing good, man. I'm extremely excited about this season, the stuff we got in place. Now, what's really getting it's just like one last thing I gotta do is just finish these rookies, man. The rookies are killing me right now, making them in the file. Cause it's a little bit tedious from the way in which I gotta do it. I'm trying to do it within the game, but then there's some rookies that's just not showing up. Then I gotta go into this different app, my franchise app, to find them in free agency just to bring them back, then go back to the game, add them to a team, then edit them. It's not like a draft class where I can just hop in there and do all the edits to each player one at a time. Like all the rookies are made in terms of their build and all of that, but their attributes aren't done. Most don't have their gear. And yeah, that's pretty much what's looking like. So what I'm planning on doing for this year's draft is I'm trying to have it where this, you already know the intro and all that stuff's gonna be fire. You get your name called. Once you get your name called, it's gonna pull up your player card. After your player card gets pulled, we're gonna pull up a highlight tape if you created one for yourself or if we have one on deck. And highlights are only gonna be shown in the first round, as it usually always is. And then unless somebody else in a later round who've made a highlight tape for themselves, if you've done that, then we will show your highlight tape for your player if you're drafted in a later round. And then after that, because if I do have all the players made in time at that point, Then what I will do is I'll cut it to this screen where you'll be able to see your player already in the new uniform that they'll have. And yeah, it's going to be pretty dope. Um, and like right away, and then we get to look at all your attributes too, like at least the core ones that's on the player card when you select the player, and you already be in uniform, gear and everything. That's this ideal scenario in which I'm trying to get. If not, it will just be the same as it usually is every year, where you'll have your player card show up, highlights, and then just talking about your player and stuff in the pick, and just checking with the community and seeing how dudes feeling about it. So George Sanchez says, pretty cool how you guys use the fact of modding to your advantage with adding the custom logos. Yeah, man, appreciate that, my guy. We definitely trying to go all out for this season. This is something we were planning and really wanted to do like 3 years ago, but then we just never, for whatever reason, put next gen on the PC game on the PC. I mean, and so we just had to sit there. College series had to go through current gen. That's going to be next gen now. So 5 years of that. Had to play with what Madden had as the base, and thank God it happened that this was available after they done made it to where you pretty much about to force us to play with teams we didn't want in our league and uniforms, and in my opinion, that were not good for the relocation teams. So, excuse me. Glad we didn't have to worry about that. We got our own image. Some of these uniforms that you're seeing right now were made 3 years ago. Let's get hashtag Bees in the chat. Dude's a goat at designing uniforms, at designing period. Beast graphic designer, man. Like, a lot of credit goes to him on all the help he's been for the RFL. Pretty much it's just the RFL is pretty much his image. There's other guys. Yeah, I could get some other guys to be graphic designers and design certain things, but the thing is, B's look is the RFL look, man. Like ever since 2020 when he first joined on, offered his services, and we've been working with each other since then. I mean, like, bro, like I don't want nobody else's look. It's almost like if somebody comes through and you know, uh, I can't explain it. It's like art. It's like just basic art. Like nobody's gonna have a certain look to. Everyone's got a certain look to their stuff. When Bees makes a look, man, his look is the RFL. So it's like, yeah, I could design this stuff. Yeah, I could get somebody to do it, but it's not Bees' look. And Bees' look is the RFL. That's why I said, like, once this thing goes, like, that's my head designer. He already is the lead designer. So, man, shout out to Bees. You the GOAT, man. I want to let you know that live in public. Everybody already knows that, man. But definitely want to give you your flowers for everything that you've been able to, you know, give to this league, man. And like I could tell you enjoy your time here as well, just doing things, man. And so big shout out to you. Hashtag bees. Uh, he says when our owner made uniforms due. Um, that's why we got some time after the draft because I don't want to start the season up right after the draft. I want to get everything handled first so that we can open up a lot of stuff. If you are an owner right now with the uniform, you're trying to design your own uniform and you know how to mod it, hey, just start making one. I know you got a PC Baker, so if you want to design your own, uniform from when it's owners week design and stuff like that, then feel free to do so, man. And then just send it to us and then we'll check it out. But make sure that you check everything first. And that probably wouldn't be a top priority for us at the moment, but like whenever we check over it and be like, okay, we seen the uniform and we like it's looking good, we'll let you know. Let me look at my phone because it's not showing. Said, will the first 3 rounds of the RFL draft be in one day? No. So our draft has always followed the formula of pretty much the NFL. So it's day 1 is only the first round. Day 2 is rounds 2 through 3, and day 4 is rounds 4 through 7. So that's how that goes. I see King already breaking that down. This is okay. Anthony Washington is RFL. Appreciate you, my guy. Bees with the year. Bees putting his own hashtag. Bees. Who bees? Uh, yeah. Shout out to Bees, man. It says, Smitty, do you think there will ever be a dynasty in the RFL? Can the London Bulldogs be a dynasty? I mean, I think they can. It's hard to be one in the RFL though. It really is. There's never been any back-to-back champs. The closest thing to that was the Thunderbirds. They have made the most reloadable appearances, but they've only cashed out on one since season 3. So there has not been any dynasties yet in the RFL. If you talk about potential dynasties, yes, we can definitely mention the Bulldogs, but there's a lot of teams, which is what makes the RFL so interesting, right? Because Bulldogs are there, Thunderbirds are still in the conversation, uh, Explorers definitely in the conversation. Steamers have been a very good up and coming team, still youthful, so they could spark something to to be a dynasty. Um, Snowhawks, a crap ton of talent. Just unfortunately, seasons haven't been too good for them as they should be. But that's a team that's got a ton of talent, that's youthful and can can be in that conversation. So that's 5 teams right there. I'm trying to think about some other teams, but yeah, I think that's the 5 top of the line dynasty bound teams. I'm not gonna say that they're guaranteed they will be, but when you got 5 teams that are like that, it's almost impossible to build a dynasty, right? Because out of those 5 teams, one's going to take it away from the other, and to keep a streak going for that amount of times in a year, I don't see anything like that happening in the RFL, like how we saw Ohio State do in the college series, winning 3 in a row. I don't see that happening. It's almost, I think it will probably be almost impossible. Well, I think it's possible at max that an RFL team can probably win 2 Relo Bowls in a row. Who knows? It could be the Bulldogs to do that first, but and to do that is crazy. We saw they had a whole crazy comeback miracle by the Huskies to knock off the Thunderbirds in season 4, and the Thunderbirds was rolling that year, and so all I can say is I don't see dynasties anytime soon being built. There's too many youthful, good teams that have the capability of doing that in the RFL. He says, or you can. This draft class about to be epic. Yeah, it should be a great class. We still aiming for CS6 to start on the 11th. Yep. Still definitely in for that. I'm hoping. Still pushing for the draft to be on the 5th, guys. Again, it's a lot building these rookies right now, man. And it's like I still have to kind of make sure that they're all kind of make. I still really have to make sure that they're made before the draft. Although I can hurry up and get their top 3 attributes, which usually shown in the graphic, and just go that route. I think making them all as they are right there, because I already know their overall rating and what it's going to be. So the overall rating will be that. Their top 3 overall attributes will be that once they're completed too. So I could get away with not all of them being done during the draft in file, but I'm not trying to do that. I'm definitely trying my best to make sure that all the rookies are done in time. But based off time, like being prepared for the draft, having all these things in graphics, that time is really crunch time right now, man. And I've been working on this for a while, but man, it's not been easy. That's all I can say. But that's the last big major task. Like once I get that done, then I build some free agents that's supposed to be on some teams. That's where I can open up trades and stuff like that. I really do want to, like I said, I know coaches would love to make trades and all that stuff before the draft and all that. Uh, but man, it's a lot that goes into it, man. I just tell guys like, hey man, you just can't be selfish, bro. Like if we can't, if I can't have that stuff done by then, I'm not gonna force myself into that situation just so you can trade. It's just gonna have to be what it is. I have to make sure I do what needs to be done for the league first. Then we can do that. definitely trying my best to make sure all that is done before we get to the draft. But that's just what I got to do. So trades might not be open anytime soon until like right before the draft or even afterwards. But that's just what it is. Let's see. I feel like if you guys are modding some uniforms, blackout unis or color rush uniforms should go hard. Oh yeah, we already got those for sure. You guys have only seen the home and away. We have alternates for every team. And then some teams have more than one alternate. Will it be worn? Uh, we don't know all the way how we're gonna go about that yet. But there's some teams got definitely shades. Like Color Rush is going to be a thing in the RFL every Thursday, like it was originally in the NFL and stuff. We used to have Color Rush in the RFL back in the day. Anyway, I think it was like season 2 of the RFL, so it's a while since we had Color Rush. But we could really do anything, man. And so yeah, we got options. Okay, I got 4 more minutes here. It's gonna be an awesome job as always, man. Hey, I appreciate it, my guy. Definitely appreciate all you guys. Again, make sure to smash that like button. Subscribe to Relocation Football League if you haven't already. You really want to make sure you have that notification bell on, man, because like this is just the beginning. This is what's getting everybody hyped. You're seeing new uniforms. You haven't seen new fields yet, man. Uh, the fields. The crazy thing about the fields, though, unfortunately, for this season, we have to stick with NFL fields. But of course, with our designs, our custom designs on them. But you will see some things like, Ravens going to be, it's going to have the Raven stuff like outside of the stadium and stuff like that. There's going to be some teams like that, but we're looking to get rid of all of that next year for the next Madden when, Madden capabilities for that is available. So it's a lot of stuff, man. And you already know once the season starts, it's going to be action packed, man. I'm only just talking about the RFL too. Like this is going to be as big as a season as the RFL is going to be. College football is going to be running right alongside of it. It's going to actually start up before the RFL season. We're aiming for College Series 6 to start in January 11th. And of course, we've separated the college series to a whole different channel from a league that we merged from. They're making their college series now a part of ours, and now just having them be a part of the RFL College Series as one. So the RFL College Series is on that channel. You can just search up RFL College Series on YouTube, and the channel should pop up because it's been renamed, rebranded a bit. Got some more rebranding coming for that, but he already new College Series commissioner Zeke is taking over that aspect of the College Series, and he just had a live not too long ago showing him building all the rookies, not the rookies, all the freshmen that are coming in that applied. And speaking of that, man, if you are looking to get in as a player into the RFL for CS6, unfortunately can't do that, but CS7, which is going to be a huge year for the RFL College Series because that's going to be on the new NCAA game. You can apply January 1st, and it's going to be paramount that you apply as early as you can because whoever applies gets first dibs on the player of their choosing. All right, just to break down a little bit more too on how that's going to go. The application for this is going to be very simple. It's not going to ask you nearly as many questions. You're not going to have any attribute ratings to put in for your player. None of that off rip. You're pretty much just going to have your player name, who your player name is going to be, the position you desire to play, and maybe a few questions ask about like what overall rating are you looking for getting, because there's going to be price ranges on which player you overtake. Okay, so to start out your career, $15 you're going to get a base standard player that you can build over, or that you could be, right? So that means that you'll be in the 70s. If your player is in the 70s range, that's $15 base fee, as it's always been in the RFL up to this point, right? Then if you're trying to start out your career as an 80s overall player, because we're going to sim in the future, there's not going to be any real life players. It's all going to be straight generic draft class with your guy. So if you're looking to take over and start your player over an 80s build, that's going to be an extra $15. $30 for that season. And if you're trying to be in the 90s to start out, then you have to pay $45. So the crazy thing about it, some people say, okay, that's pay to win and stuff, but really it's not, because it doesn't really guarantee you anything. You could be a 90 plus overall player and all this stuff. It gives you a higher chance of getting at being a solid player, and possibly the draft class making you good, but your player still has to perform in simulation gameplay, because if he doesn't, this isn't like games going to be simmed. If you're going to a top end school, most likely you're only going to find those players at top end schools. So if you're going to those top end schools, that means more than likely your games are going to be streamed. So if your player is not naturally balling in that situation, it don't matter if you're 90 plus whatever overall. If you're not showing that on the field, they're going to knock your rating down, and you're not going to turn out as good as you think. So it's not even it's really not guaranteed that you'll be that great of a player at coming in as a 90 or above, right? And again, just to like kind of make sure that less people start out like that, that's why the price range is high. So if you are willing to put that much bread in for that risk to really get that type of advantage, to feel like, okay, I think my player's going to be this, then you can go ahead and do that. But no guarantees. Doesn't mean that you're going to be that, because I'm not controlling ratings anymore at this point. I'm only knocking down whatever comes in as OP or whatever that I see from what the Madden draft class does when that new NCAA game comes out. So guys could come out here 40 something overall, 50, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm just letting y'all know right now, that's the reality of what's to come in the future for the draft classes. So yeah, let me go check out what you guys got going on. Okay, I already passed my time. I'll answer the rest of these questions I see. Is this thing not scroll? Also, I appreciate that, Blunt. So our team's going to be able to mismatch jersey and pants at times, yeah, but majority of the season will have to be the base home and away jerseys. Um, I'm going to come up with a rule set in terms of when you can wear certain things. Now, if you're playing on Thursday, that's going to be a color rush day, so you're going to see alternate uniforms there. Other than the Thursday, we're gonna have like a week where it's like ownership week, as Baker talked about. If they can design their own uniform and stuff. So if he comes up with a uniform design that gets approved, that can be an official alternate for his team to wear on ownership week, where any team owner that week gets to wear the uniform they designed for their team. So that's one thing. And then I'll probably have it where it's like 4 other weeks total, to where you can wear an alternate uniform. The rest has to be base, home, and away. Might be 3, because then you don't know who's gonna play on Thursday and stuff. And also, I forgot to talk about this, man. This is Discord Insider though, but look what your boy found, man. Eric, you in here, man? CP, y'all here? Yeah, got them Skittles gummies, boys. What up? Let me go ahead and open these up. Yes, sir. Uh-huh. Jones is hitting. Jones is hitting. Fuego. Did your thing suggesting these, boys. But yeah, I found them. Guess where I found them? It was at Walmart. I told you they'd be in Walmart. Like, ain't no way they putting Skittles gummies as exclusive as like 7-Eleven or something. I'm like, nah, it's gotta be in Walmart. Went straight to the candy section. First thing I saw, Skittles gummies. Boy, I had to buy them. It's a lot in this bag though, so I don't see me eating that in one day, or else I'm gonna get sick. But I think that might be all the questions. Yes, sir. You already know AW. Bounce moves. And everybody plugging their college series teams right now. USC, Iowa. Will returning players have to reapply? Yes. Well, no, you don't have to apply. You don't have to reapply on the website. You just have to pay your reinstatement fee of $15. So that's another thing too. Every season that you stay is $15. So just to also reiterate off of the player. So say, for instance, you buy a 90 overall player to be built over, and that 90 overall player is what's it called? Yeah, and that 90 overall player you paid your $45 for, right? That's for the season, that season. The following season, you don't have to pay $45 again. Once you pay the initial fee to have that player, then the following seasons after that you choose to stay or have to stay, because like if you're well, nah, that's not going to happen now because nobody for CS6 paid $45 or extra to be the players that they're going to be now. So honestly, you could be one and done in the RFL. So if you play your freshman year, come CS7, when a new NCAA game drops, you can leave for the draft, and $45, that's it, you out. But if you know that you're a player, you don't feel like your player's going to come out that good, then you have to serve the rest of the seasons. So that means 2 more years. So you pay your 15, your 45. Let's say if you got that 90 after CS7, you're not feeling going into the draft. So you're just like, oh, I'm going to stay. That means you have to stay 2 more seasons. So you better have $30 on deck when you got to pay for your reinstatement fee. So CS8, pay your pay your $15 for that season. CS9, pay your $15 for that reinstatement. So every reinstatement section is $15. Do not have to pay the entire fee for the overall when you initially get your player. But you do have to pay because you're taking up a spot for somebody else that would pay to get in. So that's why you have to pay. And yeah, that's it. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this podcast, man. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I cannot wait for this season. I know you guys can't wait for this season. It's gonna be the best one yet, the biggest season in RFL history to come, 2024. And that's it for your boy, man. I'll see you guys next time, and tomorrow for the new uniform reveals for, I believe, the NRC West or East. NRC East. Merry Christmas to y'all boys tomorrow, and see you guys next time.